Imagine a film that dares to dive into the teenage years of Jesus Christ, transforming sacred scripture into a spine-tingling horror tale. Sounds like a recipe for outrage, right? But here's where it gets controversial. The Carpenter's Son, directed by Lotfy Nathan, is a supernatural horror flick that's so outrageously misguided, it might just become a cult favorite despite or because of its flaws. Let's unpack this bold, boundary-pushing movie review together, exploring why it sparks debates and why you might find yourself glued to the screen, even if you're not sure whether to laugh or gasp in shock. Accusations of blasphemy are probably flying left and right for this eerie tale centered on the adolescent Jesus, drawn from the lesser-known Infancy Gospel of Thomas, a text that, for those unfamiliar, recounts apocryphal stories of Jesus' childhood miracles and mischief. If you haven't cracked it open, think of it as a biblical fan fiction that inspired Nathan's screenplay, which desperately aims for profound depth but often lands in hilariously unintended territory. Picture this, casting Nicolas, the king of over-the-top roles, as the Carpenter, aka Joseph, and the ethereal FKA Twigs as the mother, Mary, and you've basically waved the white flag on subtlety from the get-go. It's like inviting a rock star to a church service. Energetic, but not quite sacred. And this is the part most people miss. Despite its polished visuals and a standout turn by Isla Johnston, fresh from the Queen's Gambit, as the enigmatic stranger, who, in a twist that's as predictable as it is diabolical, reveals herself as Satan. This film doesn't satisfy the devout crowd or horror buffs craving a classic demonic showdown. It's a strange hybrid that leaves everyone scratching their heads. But here's where it gets controversial. The Carpenter's Son, set predominantly in Anno Domini 15, amid the bustling, oppressive backdrop of Roman-era Egypt, follows Joseph and Mary navigating their protective role over their 15-year-old son, Jesus, portrayed by Noah Jupe, who previously teamed up with Twigs in Honey Boy. Joseph understandably freaks out when Jesus starts befriending a mysterious girl with piercing eyes. "I play games all day. Will you play with me?" she coos, dropping subtle hints of malice. Oh, and did I mention she pals around with scorpions? It's not exactly innocent playtime. Before long, Jesus is captivated by the stranger, driving Joseph to despair. "My faith has become a broken crutch," he bellows, in that signature Cage manner that could only come from the man behind Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance, and Mandy. The locals, meanwhile, are in an uproar, whispering that the Carpenter's Son and his new pal are wicked entities, especially after aggressive snakes start slithering out of unsuspecting villagers' mouths. Jesus, grappling with his identity, pleads with the stranger, "Tell me who my father is." It's a plot ripe with daddy issues, temptation, and supernatural chaos, blending biblical lore with horror tropes in a way that feels both earnest and absurd. Writer-director Nathan, raised in the Coptic Orthodox Church, genuinely tries to flip the biblical script with a fresh, unconventional lens. The movie exudes the solemn weight of a 1950s religious epic, as if orchestrated by horror maestro John Carpenter himself. The cast dives in wholeheartedly. Cage's presence alone screams campy excess, though his acting here is surprisingly subdued, while Twigs and Jupe shine without his baggage. But the true revelation is Johnston, whose hypnotic gaze draws Jesus in like a moth to a flame. She's poised to steal the spotlight in Baz Luhrmann's upcoming Joan of Arc film, delivering lines like, "I am the accuser of light. I am the adversary," with chilling authority. For beginners diving into religious horror, this highlights how apocryphal texts add layers to familiar stories, making Jesus' youth feel human and vulnerable, much like a coming-of-age tale mixed with demonic temptation. Think The Omen meets The Last Temptation of Christ, but with more serpents and soul-searching. Yet, for all its stylish cinematography and committed performances, The Carpenter's Son feels fundamentally flawed, almost like a noble experiment gone awry. It might just be destined for cult status, where future audiences at late-night screenings chant the wilder dialogues back at the screen. Nathan probably didn't intend it as comedy gold, but hey, that could make for some unforgettable fun. Picture it as a midnight movie event, complete with props and debates. Do you think retelling sacred stories through horror is a valid artistic choice, or does it cross into disrespectful territory? Is Nicolas Cage's casting genius, or a gimmick that undermines the film's seriousness? Share your take in the comments. I'm curious to hear agreements, disagreements, or even wild interpretations. Could this film spark a new wave of biblical reboots, or is it doomed to be forgotten? Let's discuss.